Welcome everyone to another gun cleaning session with 2A Training LLC. Today we're actually going to be talking about, this is the Mossberg 930 JM Pro Series. Okay, so this is the Jerry Michalek. The 930 is their semi-automatic line, and it's the JM Pro Series, so it's competition, more geared towards that. But I've used it for clay pigeon shooting, skeet shooting, trap, and you can actually use this for home defense. It's actually set up in a shorter barrel for kind of that home defense, so it's easier to swing around. But today we're going to be breaking it down. I'm going to show you the gas system. So I'm going to start out with that. First of all, you can see that it's clear. Okay, nothing is in the chamber. Okay, should be good to go. So I'm going to start out, first of all, what you are normally going to do is remove your barrel clamp, okay? I've already removed it just for the sake of time because it can be kind of fidgety, okay? So next, what I do next is I take off the extension tube or the magazine tube, okay? And this one, it has a Nordic extension. So what I do is I don't take off the end cap, I just take off the entire extension all as one. Okay, so how you do that is just get a good grip on it and just start to unthread it. Okay, and the reason that I do it this way is because that spring, if you aren't careful, this mag tube spring will launch this cap wherever it wants to. Okay, so we've got the extension tube out now. I'm going ahead and remove this mag tube spring. You also want to make sure that you take out the follower. Okay, so I'm going to slowly let this down and punch that out. And if you do tip it upside down like this, make sure you grab the barrel, because now that the magazine tube is not attached, it will fly out. Okay, so with that being done, now what you want to do is you want to, and I'm going to lock this to the rear again. So now you can actually remove your foregrip or your hand guard. Okay, set that off to the side, set that over here, and then with the bolt back you can remove your barrel. Okay, now your barrel has a few different things. One main thing that comes with it, okay, which is this right here, and this is your gas piston, okay, with the piston rings. Okay, so we're going to set this off to the side, put this down here. Now next, you have, this is your spacer sleeve. So this is what allows the gases to go from here, hit your piston, it's going to hit your spacer sleeve, and that's what's going to activate this to kind of keep everything functioning properly, flowing the way that it needs to. Okay, so we take the spacer sleeve out, take this out as well as the spring for it. And then this is just the spacer along your magazine tube, which keeps this from smacking right into your frame, okay, or your receiver. So now that all of that is taken apart, now we just need to get the trigger assembly out. And I'm going to tell you that you need to do this because I've done it with it locked to the rear and it did not end well. Make sure that your bolt is forward when you do this part, because if not, that will launch across the room as well. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this, I have my trusty little gunsmith block. I'm going to grab, let's see what we have over here. Should have a couple, grab this and bring it over here. There we go. This one's a number 50. It's probably a little bit small for this, but it'll do the job. Okay? You're going to want to get this lined up. So it should just punch it straight through, and this may even just, yeah. We've done it enough where it knows that it needs to come out. Okay, so there's your first pin, and you need to remove your second pin. And try and, when you put these back in, try and put them back in the same way, or put them in the opposite way. Okay, so now should be able just to think. I was gonna say, I think I actually had that one pushed against my vise block. So there's our trigger assembly and all the pins that go with it. Okay, and now that that is removed, you pull your charging handle out and your bolt. As long as your bolt carrier basically a sled, because here's your bolt, that's the sled. Now that comes out. I leave that together because there's a tiny pin back here that will, I'll see if I can show it to you. Okay, so this pin right here will come sliding right out if you don't have this all put together. So I just leave it as it is while I'm not working on it. That way I don't lose track of where it's gone. Okay, so let's talk about the gas system really quick. This shotgun has what's called a self-regulating or auto-adjusting gas system. What that means is that it doesn't matter where you shoot it, what the climate is, anything like that, it's going to run. This gas system adjusts accordingly and it makes it function properly in any environment. I can vouch for that because I've shot this thing in the dead heat of the summer, but I've also shot it today. There's snow on the ground. I didn't shoot it today, but I'm telling you that this is Ohio. So I've shot it when it's been freezing cold out. Our family does turkey day shoots, where we shoot clay pigeons, things like that. And there's been some days where we haven't been able to feel any of our fingers or our feet or our toes, and this thing is still run. So I will tell you that it does work the way that they say that it will. So it's a pretty good deal. I really like this shotgun. I think that Mossberg makes a great firearm, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. So we've taken everything apart. Here's the gas system, okay? Or this is the piston. So let me show you this, okay? So you can see there's a couple little notches right there, okay? So once you want to take this apart, you just separate that, pull them off, and then it actually separates these. There's 2 rings in here, okay? So you take those apart and then you just clean it. Okay, so once you've cleaned up the rings and everything, I've already done that for the sake of time. I sprayed some shooter lube on there and let it soak for a second, and then it cleaned up pretty well. So once you've done that, this actually should go back into this is ultimately your gas block, okay? So once you've cleaned it, it should go right back into the gas block pretty easily. All right, so there's that. Then we need to put the bolt back in, the bolt and the carrier and the sled, all of that good stuff. So now I'm going to go on ahead and line this up. Need to make sure it goes in the right way. Now, once you get this in so far, I'm going to show you there's that little rocker arm on the back. It just dangles in there freely. This down here has a spring. This little tab right here has a spring. So we need to line this rocker arm up with that little, it's like a channel, I guess. So this will drop down into here. So what you do is you get it to where it lines up. Okay, so we've got it lined up. Should drop straight down in. You do your bolt release. Boom, dropped right in. Okay, so now it's in there. So once you have it locked in, that's when I come up here and I will just take my charging handle and I'm going to put that back in. So now I know, no matter what, it's not going to come over here. It's not going to come out of that the spring channel, the recoil channel. Should just go right back in, okay? So then we just need to put our trigger assembly back in. Okay. So So I'm going to line up the holes. And then, like I said before, we just want to make sure everything is put in the exact way. Put it in the way that it came out. Okay, look at that. I just popped it in with my thumb. Okay, same thing here. Make sure that the holes are all aligned. Boom. Now it should be good. And I'm going to take my punch, make sure it's locked into place, and we are good to go. All right. So now I know that my bolt and my trigger assembly is all functioning properly. So now, because I have to put my barrel back on, lock it to the rear. Okay. So let's make sure it's locked to the rear. Let's make sure that we get everything on here in the way that it goes. Just need our little receiver spacer. That goes on. Okay. And then we have this spring. We have this little carrier right here, and it goes on with these rods going towards the receiver. Okay. So once that is on, and this is kind of where it gets a little bit tricky, but once you've done it so many times, you just kind of get used to it. Okay. So now I'm just going to hold it right here. Actually, I'm going to do this the other way. I'm going to hold it with this hand, come up with this. Look at that. So when this gas ring comes out, or this gas piston comes out, see how that spacer helps move this little carrier right here. Okay? So that's how that works. We've got the barrel on, we've got all that. Need to put the stock on. Okay? So once you get everything lined up, boom, rocks into place. Now these, make sure that these are clean. Again, I just had this torn apart not that long ago, so I just oiled it up a little bit. Make sure it goes back in. That's your follower. So it should be down in there. I'm going to take my magazine spring, feed it back into there. And this is another reason why I do it this way. Because if you do it this way, sometimes it's difficult to try and get this tiny little cap to hold the end of the spring. Okay? Whereas if you have the whole extension tube, look at that, now you've already captured quite a bit of the end of that spring. It can just come back over here, and boom. And now it's just a matter of threading it back on. And these aren't very small threads, these are fairly large threads, so once you get it on, crank it down, and then after that, then you're going to take your barrel clamp, you're going to put that back on. I honestly run it quite a bit of the time without it. As long as it's tightened up properly, you shouldn't have a problem with it. So now we've got it back together. So let's try and do some function tests, all right? I have some dummy rounds with me. Should be able to see. Completely empty, hollowed out. There's no primer in it. It's just plastic / rubber, okay? So let's make sure that it's empty first. So take it. Okay, nothing in there. Going ahead, let's feed some in. All right, got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Okay. These dummy rounds are a little bit sticky. I've used them quite a bit. So I've kind of got some flaring on the ends. I just need to polish those up, clean them up a bit. Okay, so it does work. It extracts, it feeds them out properly. So if we had live shells, and I'm not going to grab live shells for the sake of safety, but if we did, this would run perfectly. So at some point in the future, we'll get this thing out. We'll show you guys how it runs, how smooth it runs, and how accurate it can be. So thanks for watching another video of another gun breakdown video with me, Joe. I'm Joe at 2A Training, and we'll hopefully be getting some more of these videos out to you soon. And if you guys want, let us know what you want to see clean next. We get quite a few different things in here. So again, thank you for tuning in, and remember, always be learning and always be training. See you next time.